Know that. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move forward then. Seniors. Like I said earlier, I want to challenge you, the seniors. Okay, I want you to have a topic that requires a little bit more thought on your part. And so your topic this year is to design a country ham curing facility for your county's ham project. This is the only time we allow you to have a visual aid. Just a single piece of poster board, and that's it. We're not going to allow any three-dimensional things to the poster board. Okay, so don't come in and have to assemble your poster board because you've got it all 3D and everything. We realize we're asking you to design things, and sometimes it's easier to draw it on a poster board. Okay, just a standard poster board, whether they're like 27 by 29 or something like that. Don't come in with a billboard. Okay. Here's a good rule of thumb. If it takes 4 people to carry your poster board into the speech competition, it's too big. Okay? It's too big. So this is the only time we allow you a visual aid, all right, to get your point across. Again, like I said earlier, we're about 780 4-Hers, 62 counties involved in this project. There's over 25 county ham houses in the project. And we keep growing and growing each year the number of counties that put hams in cure in their county or in a group of counties get together. Okay? And so every year, usually about this time to the fall, I get phone calls with, how do we design one of these? Well, here we go. Let's answer our own question on this. So the way we cure hams here in Kentucky for the 4-H project, it's nothing too elaborate. You don't need heaters, you don't need coolers and things like that. We're simply going to allow Mother Nature to do what she does best and be our refrigerator, be our heat in the summer. So we're going to let her do that. And so hams that are, we call these ambient cured hams, all right, where we let Mother Nature dictate things. They're what we call ambient cured hams. There are professional ham curers that have rooms to mimic winter, so they put things in coolers. They have rooms to mimic spring and rooms to mimic summer. To do that, you can do that at the county level. That's fine. You know, if you've got the money to do that. That's a 6, almost 7-figure investment to do that kind of stuff. But you, for your 4-H project or for your 4-H speech, just pretend that Bill Gates is backing you and he's giving you a blank check. So you can do whatever you want. We've had folks over the years design their country ham building to look like a country ham. Something kind of new and unique. So it's whatever you want to do. If you want it to be simple, like the ones I'm going to show you, you can make it be. It can be simple. If you want it to be elaborate, like the professionals, it's whatever you want to do. There's no right or wrong answer on this on how you want to do that. So if in this part of the state, okay, usually we say west of I-65, hams are ambient cured in the 4-H project. And so we start in January, okay? And every time we start in January, it either snows or there's an ice storm. Okay, we never have good weather in January. It's always snow or ice storm. Some counties won't start until February. Regardless of when you start, you got to make sure it's cold outside. So you got to have a building. Okay, we need a building. We need a place to put it. Most counties have their extension office campus is where they put it. We're going to have slight modifications to it, and we're going to go over those as well. Okay. So here's what some counties have done, is they've gone to like Home Depot or Lowe's or the local lumber yard, and they've bought an outdoor building. Okay? Essentially what you see here, this is Shelby County's ham house. It was just an outdoor building that they bought at Lowe's, had it constructed, and then they modified it. So wherever you want to go, and they've got it on their property. Okay. There's one county that doesn't have their ham house on property, and that's Breathitt County, and it's at the Robertson Station. So it's not on the extension office's property, but it's still on UK property. Okay.
Grave Knox is behind Four Seasons, which is
Yep.
whatever.
Number plate. Okay. Okay. I haven't been out there yet, so it's part of my summer ham tour. So, and reason why there's reasons why I encourage people to have them in close to the extension office. It makes it easier for the agents to check on the hams, check on the ham house. One of the things we're going to suggest towards the end is a lock. Okay. I have had phone calls from the counties that have had their ham houses broken into. You imagine the surprise if somebody broke into a ham house thinking they were going to get some sort of prize, and it's just a bunch of hams. So each year this project creates something that I was never thought of, never trained to do. You know, one time, it was about 2 years ago, we lost the county ham house because of the tornado in West Liberty. We lost that ham house. Last year we lost a ham house that got struck by lightning and it exploded. And when I said exploded, it literally exploded, struck by lightning. This year the new challenge, how do you keep bears out of a country ham house? That was, what's that? Bear traps? Well, my thought was just sit on top of the roof and shoot him, but they said you can't do that. So, that's what, to advise counties on how you keep bears out of ham houses was not part of my graduate training. I can tell you that right now. So, new problems every year. All right, once you get your building up, we're going to have some slight modifications, all right? We need to do something about the floor. They all come with plywood floors, right? Yep. How many of you remember what your ham looked like in January when you put it in the county ham house? It's big, right? Is it 25 pounds in August? No, it's not. It's around 15 pounds, 13 pounds. What happened to it? Yeah, lost water, didn't it? So where did that water go? Well, it hit the ground. And so if you got a plywood floor, well, it's not going to last very long. So we may have to do something with the floor. We've got to hang the hams, all right? We got to think about airflow, electricity, a lock like we talked about so we don't get it broken into, all right? Plywood floors, they don't last long, okay? You can maybe go 3 or 4 years with a plywood floor and you're okay. Other counties have said, okay, we're going to keep the plywood floor, but we're going to cover it in plastic or a tarp. That works out. That works pretty good as well. Okay, it's what it's up to you. It's up to you. I just tell you, plywood floors don't last very long. All right. Others have used a concrete pad. They put their ham house on a concrete pad. Here's the thing, folks. If you have your ham house on a concrete pad, work with the people pouring the concrete pad and the people building the building to make sure that it's sloped towards the door. Why? When you go with your big garden hose in there to clean it, guess where the water runs? Out the front door. Don't build it like they did the floors in the meat lab where the drains are at the highest point of the floor. Okay? So we got to avoid those type of things. Other counties have put in rock and gravel and packed it in tightly, and we'll show you some of those as well. So the floor is something to think about. The floor is something to think about. All right? Here you can see this, like I said, once again, this is Shelby County's. They've got a concrete floor. You can see the little drain in the middle of it, and it hams in there enough you can see where the hams were at one time. So the hams drip on the floor. You can see the water, the salt that goes with the water, the fat as well. So here's an example of a concrete floor. This is a unique one. This one's put in the parking lot. Most of them are in the parking lot, yes, but this is where they use the parking lot as the floor. So that's got that asphalt floor. And somebody said, well, is that going to be good for the asphalt, blah, blah, blah. So they put down a plastic over the concrete as well. And you see they water it down so they get it flattened out. So whatever you want to do there, whatever you want to do. We also have others that use gravel. That works out well. I think Woodford County and Mercer County have gravel floors. All right. It's okay, but I'm not a fan of just dirt floors because things burrow through there. At least if it's gravel, they give up, you know. But if it's a dirt floor, I've seen them burrow through there. All right, cross members. All right, we're going to hang these hams on something, and normally we're going to use an upright 2x4 or a upright 2x6. When I say upright, we're going to store them like this. You can see in the picture there. If we've got them flat, what's going to happen? Do they have much structural rigidity when they're flat like that with 6 or 7 25-pound hams hanging on them? No, they're going to bow. So if we do it upright, they got a little bit more rigidity. We want to space them about 2 to 2.5 feet apart because when we put the hams in there in January, we don't want them to touch. I realize you're going to go in there soon to look at the hams, and they've shrunk quite a bit. But in January, we don't want them to touch, all right? Screws or nails to hang the hams. Others, and this is a good idea, you need to make sure your crossbars that you hang your hams on are removable, all right? Here's an example of folks that have said, okay, instead of using wood, they use pipe. You see in there? And they've makeshift their own hangers to put the hams on. What they like about this is others have done the cross members that are parallel to the front door. This county did it where they were perpendicular to the front door so they can walk in between them. And they can slide the hams around on those hooks. So just something to think about there. Okay. Folks often ask, well, why do the cross members have to be removable? This is why. Okay. 2 feet apart, nailed in there. Somebody has to be a contortionist to get in there. And trust me, I've had to crawl on the floor in some of these ham houses to check hams. And inevitably, when you get to where you want to go and you stand up, you will always stand up and catch your back on one of those nails sticking through. Okay? It's an inevitability. There are about 3 nice dress shirts like I have on today at home in the trash that have a nice rip down the back for me catching them on a hook. Okay? So this is why you got to have them removable. Makes things a lot easier, you know. Tony's a small guy, but even he'll tell you we screwed up on that one. They've changed it since then. Here's a picture. I believe this might be Nelson counties, I believe. They have the nice little slot system that they can put them in there, little holder for their cross members as well. Just whatever you want to do. It's your ham house. This is kind of a unique one. This is one of our newer ham houses. This was a county that built a new extension office. Project is popular in that county, so the county built a ham house as part of the extension office. And they said, okay, the biggest problem we've had at the old facility is we couldn't check hams, so they made a nice little alleyway down the middle. So you can see on either side here, they can hang hams. And what makes this unique is he's standing here and he's got about 15 feet of building left behind him. So as the project grows, they can add more of those stanchions in there and grow as well. So it's kind of a unique idea, a different way of looking at it, okay? So however you want your cross members to work is up to you, folks. It's up to you. Just giving you some ideas. Regardless of how you have your hams hanging in the house, whether you've got them hanging on cross members that are parallel to the door or perpendicular, or you got them on hooks, or you got them hanging on screws and nails sticking out, regardless of how you do that, the important thing now is to think about airflow. A lot of people ask me, why is my ham 3 different shades of brown? Well, chances are not very good airflow in the building, okay? That's going to help with the outside color. It's going to help dry the hams out. Mold doesn't like to grow on hams that have a lot of air flowing over them, so it kind of controls mold as well. Now, this is the time that your ham houses should be, your fans in your ham houses should be on. All right? Have them on during the day. I tell a lot of the agents, I said, okay, you got airflow in your house, you got to get airflow. Turn your, and we'll talk about the fans here in a second. Turn your fans on after the atmosphere's dried off in the morning. Got the morning dew, turn them on after that. Why? Because you turn them on while the atmosphere is still wet. You're adding moisture to the system, and guess what's going to grow? Mold. Okay, not that mold's a bad thing, but we have to clean it off. Okay, so, and then does the atmosphere get dry in the evening or get wet in the evening again? Yep. So we're going to shut them off before it starts to get wet. So we're mainly running them through the daytime when it's nice and dry. Okay. Here's a picture of a ham house that's got some pretty good airflow. They put their fan up here at the top. Okay. Their fan is up here. They got these vents down here at the bottom. Pulls the air in through these vents, cascades, so I guess it just flows over, doesn't cascade, flows over the hams and out the top. Okay. That's good airflow. And most of our ham houses have that kind of stuff. Here's a fan. One thing that you notice here is the louvers on the fan. Okay, got to have those louvers. Anybody's ever been around these exhaust fans? The fan's got to be pointed out. Okay, because we want to draw in from those vents. So you're pointing the fan out. Those louvers are important. Why? Nobody knows why? Keeps the birds out. Exactly. Keeps the birds out. Okay. So we got to have the louvers on there as well. All right. You can have them on timers. A lot of our counties have them on timers as well. They got electricity going there, and they have them on timers. Okay. Airflow is key. Airflow is key. Okay. Now, anytime we have food, even in the big major food plants, pests are always a concern. And hams are no different. They're no different. And so we've got to do what we can to our ham house to make sure that we're doing all that we can to keep the pests out. So we cover the openings, okay? The only time those louvers come on is if the fan's going. You notice those little vents at the bottom? We put some mesh over there to keep them out. Keep any bugs in, well, it's kind of hard to keep bugs out, but keep rodents out. We caulk the seams of the ham house to keep the bugs out. Okay, doing everything we can to put hurdles in their way. Other things that I encourage folks to do: mouse traps. Okay, these hams will attract mice. There's no doubt about it. And about 4 years ago, we had this workshop, and there was an agent in the audience. And afterwards, she comes up to me and she says, "I've got this ham. I need you to tell me what's wrong with it." I said, "Okay." She says, "Look, it's got this hole." And then she's right. There's a hole in there about the size of a quarter. She said, "What caused that?" Now, children, I'm going to give you some old fat man advice here. Pick your words carefully. Because I did not pick my words carefully when she said, "How do you know it was a mouse?" Because the next thing out of my mouth was, "Well, he's looking at me." This scream that this agent let out is still hanging in space somewhere. All right? Followed by a series of words that you really shouldn't use in conversation and you really shouldn't use around children. All right? Followed by, "I drove all the way here with that in my car." Well, the good thing is he's still in there, okay? So they will attract rodents. They will attract rodents, and we have mouse traps, have these things called tin cats, bait boxes. These are bait boxes. These are tin cats. The key to these is check them periodically, all right? You should not open up your tin cat and find skeletons, okay? If you have a bait box, What's the key word in the phrase bait box? Bait, okay? So you need to check those things periodically. Things need to be kept clean, all right? There's a lot of counties that have what we call a dead zone around their ham houses, just 2 or 3 feet of rock all the way around it. Others that have, well, it needed landscaping, so they got flowers and stuff around it. That's fine, but realize that you're creating an environment where pests can come in, okay? So we make sure we keep things clean. Make sense? Okay? Like we said earlier, keep things clean, keep the grass trimmed around it. Locks are a necessity. So it's been about 7 years since we've had a ham house broken into, but people will break into ham house. They'll break into stuff because they think there's something other than hams in there, all right? Now, here's the other thing that I caution people on. There have been times in the summer, and usually in the summer, if I'm in the neighborhood, I'll stop into a county office and that I know has a ham house there, and I just stop in to check the hams, all right? I worry more about your hams than I do my own hams down here in the lab. And I'll walk in, I'll say, is so-and-so agent here, 4-H agent? They say, no. Well, I'm just here to check the hams, and the secretary throws me the keys. She doesn't know who I am. Okay? So I'm telling the adults to make sure people monitor those keys, or you don't give those keys out to anybody. You know, it seems like, well, what's the big deal? Well, you never know. It's just better to be safe than sorry. Trust me, all professors at UK now take active shooter training. Okay, so there's things that we don't plan on having to do. You don't want to run in those situations. So make sure, you know, if the secretary knows me, knows who I am, and she throws me the keys, it doesn't bother me. But if the secretary throws me the keys and I'm not wearing UK or something like that, kind of bothers me. Kind of bothers me. So make sure we monitor that kind of stuff. So limited access is what we're getting at there. Thermometers. A lot of counties have thermometers. You can see up here on this one, we've got a nice thermometer hanging up there. This one also has, it's kind of Bluetooth to another thermometer or another unit that sets in the 4-H agent's office, so she can just, or he can just look at what the temperature of the ham house. It's whatever you want. Walkway, nice little walkway going out there, so you have to tread through the mud. Water sealant, okay, we always seal them. Every year we're going to seal them because there's a lot of moisture in there. So a lot of folks have built these ham houses anywhere from 1,200 to over 5,000. Okay. Just these simple ones. Like I said earlier, if you're designing your ham house and you say, okay, I want to be, we're going to go big time here. We're going to have a winter room, we're going to have a spring room, we're going to have a summer room. Those require refrigerators and heaters and things like that, and humidifiers and dehumidifiers and so on and so forth. Now you're talking about $1 million investment there. Okay? But like I said earlier, Bill Gates is backing us up. Okay? He's going to back us up, giving us a blank check. So whatever you want to do, folks, whatever you want to do on these. All right? Questions? Yes, sir. What's that? A honey ham, a honey country ham. The way you could do a honey country ham is like what we talked about when you're baking them. You could put a honey glaze on there. Now, the honey hams you see in the grocery store, those are wet cured city hams. That's where they inject the water and the brine into them. They've added honey or maple or whatever to that. That's where that flavor comes from. Yes, ma'am.
For maintaining a ham house for years to come,
Mm-hmm.
the base of your walls, we're starting to get like salt kind of wicking up the walls.
Yeah.
Is that going to cause damage? Is it going to cure the wood? Do we need to do anything to it?
I don't know. That's when we need somebody like Gary Sullivan from the radio to come in here and tell us. I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you. That's why I encourage folks to use water sealant every year to kind of avoid that. I guess we'll find out. I don't know. Is anybody lumber people that would know salt and lumber like that?
So it-
I don't know, to be honest.
Fill it for the next year, try to get as much of that salt out of it.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, that's what I would do.
I work in construction supplies. One thing you can do is check with places that do construction supplies, and they sell polyethylene sheeting. It'd just be a big roll of plastic sheeting, and that's cheap enough that you can just replace it every year. Just run it, 2 or 3 feet up the walls, and so that'll try to help that.
There you go. There you go.
The gravel and rock,
Uh-huh.
the flooring, can you shovel that out and put new
No,
gravel?
no, no, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to do that, no.
We put it on cardboard on our concrete floor.
Yep.
Sometimes when it starts to drip a lot, and then you can pull the cardboard out.
Pull the cardboard out, yeah, that works out well too, yeah. Yeah, yeah, because even eventually the concrete with the salt and that stuff's gonna wear pretty heavy on it too. You don't believe me? Look at some of our roads. Yes, sir.
From a food safety perspective, after it's sliced at the grocery,
Mhm.
it's sliced, how long does it typically last? And do you have to refrigerate that? Or?
I usually tell folks after you slice them, refrigerate them. Mainly because I don't know what the water activity is on those, but they last for quite a while.
Okay.
You gotta realize our oldest ham was cured in 1903. So
Wow.
it's technically edible, although it's kind of like eating it at a fast food place. They'll keep you alive.
And the other question I
Yep.
had is soaking it in water.
hmm
Could you soak it in soda? For some reason, I've heard that.
You could. I don't see why you couldn't. Water's just cheaper.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Water's a lot cheaper, yeah, because you're going to change it every 12 hours. So I've heard of cooking them in soda.
I don't know. Somebody told me that they take more of the salt
Yeah,
flavor out of
yeah. Well, what you're doing is you're adding sweetness,
it. Right.
and that if you notice in a lot of processed meats that you have meat and then salt and then some sweetener to counteract that.
Doesn't the acidity of the soda, doesn't that affect the ham?
That will help break down some of the connective tissue to make it a little bit more tender. Yeah.
Airflow, if you're not, don't have electricity in the house, when you have to have it,
Yeah. Otherwise, it won't dry out very well. It's ideal, to be honest with you, but years ago there weren't fans. What we teach here is how to make a show ham versus an eating ham. Not that you can't eat the show ham. It's just we got to think about appearance as well. So I would put a lot of vents in there if you don't have something like that.
after it's cured and you're storing it, you're taking your
Mhm.
ham home, do you still need airflow with it?
That's not that big of a deal. No.
The curing
It's
part.
during the curing and the equalization process and that. So yeah.
If you want, you were talking about that like hams with more than one color.
Mm-hmm.
If you're worried about your airflow, like if you have hams with different colors.
Yep.
Does it help to like smooth it?
You could. I mean, it's however hard you want to work. Yeah, there you go. You get the kids to. Well, some agents tell me it's hard to get them all into one spot at one time anyway, rather than have to come in periodically. I believe the term herding cats was mentioned a few times. As Temple Grandin says, you don't herd cats, you lead them. So most of you are probably thinking, who's Temple Grandin? Well, Google or Bing. Other questions? No, maybe.
Is this presentation gonna be available?
It's going to be.
Somehow, I mean,
I'll send out the link as soon as Kevin gets it posted. You're going the UK YouTube site, right, Kevin? Yep. Probably in the next week or so. And if you want the slides, there's nothing proprietary about this. Shoot me an email and I'll send them to you. It's Greg. I'll use this handy dandy retractable clicker dry erase thing. The key in this is I have two G's in my first name, and I'm born and raised in Illinois. And there was one way to spell Renfro in Illinois. That was R-E-N-T-F-R-O-W. Or here in Kentucky, it's R-E-N-F-R-O. So I have nothing to do with the Valley. Don't ask me for tickets. About a dozen times a year, people ask me for tickets to the Valley. I don't know if there's a relation there. My grandfather used to joke that if you embarrassed the family, you had to drop a letter from the last name. So I don't know what that means. Other questions? All right, folks, I appreciate you coming in on a Saturday morning. It looks like it's going to be the last nice Saturday for a while. It's supposed to rain the rest of the week. So go out and enjoy Lexington, those of you that travel the distance.